All right, chapter 6. You're about halfway through. Here's the cool school. And once again, music is just fragmenting. This is all built on the evolution of the bebop style, but the definition we have in the book says it's a relaxed, more listenable offshoot of bebop. Um, but that means a lot of things to a lot of people, and everybody kind of approaches it their own way. There used to be a style called West Coast, which we've kind of folded into this cool school chapter now. People like Jerry Mulligan, Chet Baker, gets a little bit, definitely Brubeck, they're associated more with the West Coast than they are with cool school, but that's an argument for another day. You have an excerpt from Miles Davis's book called The Birth of the, it's a section called The Birth of the Cool, and it tells the story of this group and the birth of the cool. It's the first time we see musicians create a style and literally name it. As we move forward, you've got lots of links to Miles because he's exploring a lot of different territory. He starts working with Gil, G-I-L Evans, great piano player and arranger, and they make a series of recordings, including this one, Porgy and Bess, this beautiful version of Summertime. Of course, you heard a ton of Summertime in chapter 1 if you did those active listening exercises. Here's linked to some other great albums from that time. And then he forms his first great quintet, which quickly becomes a sextet with John Coltrane, Cannonball Adderley, Paul Chambers playing bass. There's Miles. You can't say the piano player in this. It's probably Wynton Kelly, but I'm not sure. And it could have been Bill Evans and Jimmy Cobb in the classic drummer photograph where his head is cut off because it's behind the cymbal. There's so many, there's thousands of drummer photographs like that. It's kind of funny. And then we get to the really critical album, Kind of Blue, and you'll spend a lot of time with Kind of Blue. Pay careful attention to it. A lot of people think it's the most important jazz album ever made. Beyond Miles, you get to meet the Modern Jazz Quartet, quintessential cool school group, amazing history, blending classical music and jazz, all kind of cool stuff. You have a beautiful track, Django, which was a tribute to Django Reinhardt you met in chapter 4. And then Dave Brubeck, again, we're calling it cool school here. A lot of people refer to this as the West Coast style. For my money, this guy, Paul Desmond, is what that quintessential crispness is in that West Coast style. But again, it's a minor argument for people who are just starting to discover jazz. If you get into it 30 years from now and you want to argue in a bar somewhere about it, we can spend all night talking about it because it's a pretty cool topic. You have the classic tune Take 5 off the album Time Out, another groundbreaking album from 1959. Jerry Mulligan and Chet Baker formed the Pianoless Quartet, and then later they go on to do a ton of stuff as individual artists. There's Jerry, here's Chet. For my money, one of the greatest trumpet players of all time, and I love his singing too. It is truly unique. Stan Getz is here in chapter 6 for the creation of the bossa nova, and that's a catch-all term for a lot of different Latin styles that we start incorporating into the music. He easily could have been in chapter 4, chapter 5. He can be featured in chapter 7, Hard Bop. He did some fusion. He could be in chapter 9. We have him here for this development of Antonio Carlos Jobim and working with other Brazilian musicians and creating something called the bossa nova. You have one of their famous early tracks, Desafinato, here. Let me point out again pictures. Here's that guy again, Charles Mingus. He just keeps showing up. Stay tuned for more in chapter 7. And once again, some dig deepers for you in Cool School today because it's still going on. In particular, if you're a Charlie Brown fan, Vince Guaraldi. Listen to Vince Guaraldi and all that music for those great Charlie Brown cartoons. That's quintessential West Coast / Cool School music. Enjoy.